All right. Welcome, everyone. If you've ever wanted to get into bug bounty hunting, let's just call this your first official mission briefing. Today, we're gearing up for what is absolutely the most critical phase of any hunt, reconnaissance. So, are you ready for this? Your mission is to learn how to think like an attacker, to map out the digital terrain, and to find those hidden weaknesses before anyone else does. And believe me, this isn't just about code. It's about pure investigation. You see, before you can even dream of finding bugs, you have to gather intelligence on your target. We call this process reconnaissance, or just recon for short. It is, and I mean this, the foundation that every single successful hack is built on. Without solid recon, you're basically just hunting in the dark. So, to make this whole thing crystal clear, we've broken your reconnaissance mission down into 3 super actionable phases. Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to move through 3 distinct phases. First, picking our hunting ground, then analyzing the target's business, and finally, gathering all the technical intel. And this order is absolutely key. It's strategy first, then tactics. You have to know what you're looking for before you can figure out how to find it. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive right into this first crucial step, choosing where you're actually going to hunt. Because, trust me, not all bug bounty programs are created equal, especially when you're just getting your feet wet. For anyone just starting out, HackerOne is where I tell you to go, hands down. It's well known for having a huge variety of programs, and this is the important part. It has filters that help you find companies that are specifically looking for new talent. BugCrowd is another fantastic option with a really strong community, so you should definitely feel free to check them both out. So, when you're on the platform, here's your tactical checklist. First thing, filter for programs that literally say they accept new hackers. Next, you want to aim for a minimum bounty over $500. That's a good sign the company actually values security. A response time under 7 days is also key. You want to work with a team that's engaged and responsive. And finally, go check out the Hall of Fame for recent payouts. It is the fastest way to see if a program is actually active and rewarding people for their work. Think of this as your quick field guide for spotting a good place to hunt. You see green flags like recent payouts and a clear, generous scope. That means the program is healthy, it's active. But if you start seeing red flags like no payouts for 6 months or a scope so restrictive you can barely test anything, that's a clear signal to just walk away and find a better target. All right, let's move on to step 2. Once you've picked your hunting ground, it's time to become an expert on your target. This is where you stop being just a technician and you start becoming a real detective, analyzing the business itself. This is without a doubt the most important question you can ask. Why? Because business logic flaws, which are some of the most creative and high-impact bugs, they exist where the application's rules can be bent for some kind of financial gain. To find those, you absolutely have to understand how the business works. So, focus your attention on where the value is. For an e-commerce site, that's obviously the shopping cart and the checkout process. Can you apply a discount code twice? For a subscription service, it's all about the trial and billing systems. Can you extend a free trial forever? Every single business has these core money-making functions, and they are always prime targets. So to get started, you need to map out the critical pathways of the application. And the best place to begin is by tracing the journey of a brand new typical user from the very second they land on the site. Just think about it, step by step. How does a user sign up? How is their email actually verified? What happens when they set up their profile? Each and every one of these steps involves handling data and changing permissions, and each one is a potential point of failure where a normal user's access could, maybe, just maybe, be escalated. So after you understand the user, you need to follow what is almost always the most critical path in any application, the financial one. This is where you will often find the highest impact, highest payout vulnerabilities. So for an e-commerce site, this means mapping every single step from somebody choosing a product all the way to the final order fulfillment. Could you maybe manipulate the price while it's in the checkout? Could you somehow bypass the payment step and still get the order confirmed? I mean, this is where the detective work gets really, really fun. All right, now for the final step of our recon mission. We understand the business, we've mapped the flows, and now it's time to gather the raw technical data that's going to guide our actual testing. We're looking for all the digital doors and windows into the application. You see, a target is almost never just a single website. It's usually a sprawling network of different services, APIs, and subdomains. Our job is to map this entire digital footprint to find every single possible way in. A great starting point here is something called subdomain enumeration, which is just a fancy way of saying we're finding all the related websites, like api.example.com or maybe dev.example.com. And the amazing part is you can start with incredibly powerful free tools right in your browser. Just search certificate transparency logs on a site like crt.sh. These are public records of all websites. You don't need a complex setup to find your first big clues. Now, there are basically two main ways to find these entry points, or endpoints. Passive discovery is like being a spy. You're just observing. You browse the site with a tool like Burp Suite running in the background, which lets you see all the data your browser is sending and receiving. You can analyze public files like JavaScript or robots.txt without sending any suspicious traffic at all. Active discovery is when you start, knocking on some doors. You're actively probing the server for hidden pages or API endpoints. You're going to need both methods to build a complete map. And just like that, our mission briefing is complete. You now have the foundational strategy for world-class reconnaissance, so let's quickly debrief on everything we've covered. So the crucial takeaway here is this three-step process. First, choose a promising program where you know you'll be valued. Second, understand the business logic so you know where the real impact lies. And finally, gather all the technical intelligence you can to create a full map of your target. That right there is your recipe for success. I want to leave you with this piece of wisdom because it perfectly captures the spirit of everything we've just discussed. It's not just about finding technical glitches. It's about finding where the technology fails to enforce the rules of the business. Your training is complete. You have the framework, you have the tools. The only question left is, what are you going to be the first person to find? Your first bug hunt starts right now. Good luck.